Salutations, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. V back with another casted game of Age of Empires 3. I did miss an upload last week, and I apologize. I kind of lost my voice halfway through the week on like Wednesday, and I was just not in tip-top casting shape. But you don't want to hear my excuses. Let's dive right into the Civ intros. We are on Hungarian plains, and in the north of the map, playing in the color blue as the French, we do have Aliug making a return to the channel, and I cannot see his deck yet, but I am hoping that we see another crack at that native play. Aliug been playing a lot of French from the history I saw, and from all the other casted games I've seen, he almost always goes natives with French, and it can actually be really, really effective. But he will have his hands full because his opponent in the south of the map, playing in the color red as the Russians, we have Giliug. So we have a battle of the Ugs today. I don't know how many times I will be messing up their names, but most likely quite a bit. Meanwhile, Giliug picking up, what do we have here? 90 wood. Peasant weaponry from the Mukha Rebellion. I have no idea what that is, but thank you for the wood. And going to be taking on two brown bears. Excellent kiting here. Really using the AI behavior of the Guardians to his advantage. And hopefully he has a crack shot saved up. Hopefully he's not going to try to take on two brown bears, is he? No, okay, just making sure that Aliug was not in the vicinity. So 90 wood going to go to him, going to be excellent for that blockhouse that is undoubtedly going to be coming down in the transition. Meanwhile, Aliug picking up what looks to be 60 wood of his own. Also very, very nice. First shipment coming in from Gilly, and a very standard Russian deck. Has the 9 Manchus, and he has the Strelet Horde, which I don't always see in Age 4, but it is a very, very good card. Gives you a muster of 5 Strelet from every blockhouse you have, which if you have 5 or 6 blockhouses, that's 30 Strelets, something like that. And it also upgrades their HP, which I feel like Strelets are basically Russia's go-to unit in the late game. They are so good. They are so cost-effective. And in mass, they can actually be really hard to deal with, even if you have skirmishers of your own. But enough about that. We'll see how far this game gets. I imagine that this game could get as far as Age 3 and 4, or we could see a really, really effective rush out of Giliug here, and maybe he catches France off guard. But Aliug, he's not your predictable France. He does not do it the standard way. He's not just 3 CDB, 4 CDB, 700 wood, 700 gold, Age 3, Skirm, Dragoon, Falconet. He's got this weird deck, right? I mean, look at this. He's got Ancien Regime, which apparently I got a subscriber last week just because I said that card right, so let's go. Normally I say stuff wrong. Then he's got 1 native upgrade. He's got 2 native upgrades, 3 native upgrades, a card that musters natives, and then we have a 4th native upgrade, and then a 5th native upgrade once he reaches Industrial. And that's not even taking into account the possibility of a Canada Revolt, which I have seen Aliug do, and I don't know, maybe against Russia that's a little bit too greedy. But I could see native units actually being really effective against what Russia tends to bring out. Both players now getting up to Age 2, going out at about the same rate. Aliug just a little bit faster, though he is 1 villager less on his age up, going with a 13 village up versus the standard 14 of Russia. I feel like if Russia does any vill, it's 14. Either that or 17. You don't really see 11 because it's just way too bare bones. And you don't really see 20 just because Russia already has a bit of a slower age up anyways. But this blockhouse coming down in the middle of the map. And does he see the native trading post? Now he does, now that he has the building line of sight. So now both players aware of the other's main military location. But if I know Aliug, this is not his only trading post. Yeah, he's already got 2 down. And sending native treaties as his first card. Again, this guy does not send 4 CDB or 700 wood right away. He always sends that native treaties. And I actually think that's probably going to keep his trading post alive, because I can imagine Gilly is going to be very eager to take out this trading post that is so close to his own blockhouse. And has 3 villagers forward here. That's another thing I see people debate about a lot. Like, how many villagers do you send forward to build an FB? Because obviously 1 is too slow. But if you start going more and more and more for a really fast build, you lose a lot of gathering time, right? I mean, that's 3 villagers all not gathering for a solid 45 seconds, 60 seconds. But the nice thing about Russia is you can actually garrison these villagers, so they're not as exposed as if this was a normal barracks. Otherwise, I'd be worried about losing these guys, and losing 3 vills this early in the game would be absolutely damning, especially at this high of a level. But we do see Gilead going with Ruskets instead of Strele. Strelet, yeah, that's one. See, I knew I was going to start saying stuff wrong eventually. But 10 Strelets are now in production. Going with the Rusket Cossack opening, which is very standard Russia. And I like that he's not going for an engagement yet. He wants that light infantry, mainly to deal with the line infantry that popped out from that native treaties card, along with the Tatars and the Shock Rider. A lot of Tatars coming in. And these guys are so effective, even against their counter, just because their attack speed is so high. I mean, look at the speed of those arrows. Oh my God. They just absolutely light up the Strele, and because the Strele are unupgraded and because they're weak anyways, they just don't put up much of a fight. And the Cossacks completely impotent during this battle. They simply cannot deal with this amount of anti-cap. And you got a couple of line infantry there. The French explorer soaking up a little bit of damage. Yeah, he's already soaked up about 100 HP. And it's going to be a win here for Gilly, or for Ailey. Yeah, put it on the counter. There's one mistake. But I don't think this is any sort of crippling loss, right? It's Russia. You're going to lose units, and you're going to lose a lot of them. Doesn't mean you've lost, because you do have such cost-effective units, right? And these native batches, they are not cheap, right? If we look at the Tatars, 70 food and 60 wood. The wood especially is what I think, really makes them so costly, because wood in the early game is a hard resource to gather, unless you're Russia and you have, the distributism card, but 700 wood now being sent after 4 CDB and native treaties. More Strelet coming out. But again, this massive Tatars, they almost kind of counter their counter just because of the attack speed, right? I mean, these arrows are coming out so fast. And because of their speed, 7.25 speed on these guys, you can't really kite them as effectively as you might kite slower melee cavalry. Oh man, Strelet's just going down here so quickly. Another blockhouse is going up, needs that extra fire. These blockhouses, you cannot ignore them. They are a shipment point for reinforcements, but they also do have that 30 ranged attack. So you don't want to fight under these for a prolonged period of time. You're kind of playing into Russia's hands. That's what they want you to do. They want you to waste your resources fighting under their blockhouse and killing their cheap units, because they will ultimately benefit from that, even though it feels like you're winning the fights. A little bit of Russia 101. I just hit my mic. Dinged myself. But yeah, the Tatars continue to come out, and I think he can make, how many of these can he make? Oh, he's already at his limit. He can make 10. Yeah. If you were just able to spam these things, it would get absolutely ridiculous. They would be able to counter everything that Russia could make, right? What could Russia make in Age 2 that would deal with like 20 Tatars? I don't think any amount of Strelets would be able to do it. Not going with the Shock Riders, but he is starting to make some mounted infantry here, sending native warrior combat. That's going to give these guys a further 15% HP and damage. Meanwhile, what is Gilly sending? I've been focusing on Aliog too much, and he went with 5 Cossacks, 700 wood, 700 coin, and New Order regiment. So really, really standard Russian stuff. Nothing much to report there. He's really determined to take out this trading post. And I think that's a good idea, right? You want to be able to limit the amount of units he can make. And it's also going to make his upgrade cards less effective because he has less variety for those upgrades to be used on. But oh my God, even with the upgrade card, well, no, it hasn't arrived yet. So maybe these guys will get tankier. But by the time it arrives, there's going to be very few Strelet left on the field. And even these Ruskets, I mean, they're getting into hand combat, but they're being mowed down so quickly. And with the added mounted infantry, this native play is actually starting to put Gilly on the back foot here. Now, whether he has the siege to actually take down these blockhouses, I doubt it. He's going to pick up a Ville there. It's currently 25 for Russia, 27 CDBs for France. So a pretty substantial economic lead here. He has a trading post, but so does Gilead. So pretty even economies, though when you take into account the extra efficiency of the CDB, there is more than just a 2-Ville advantage for Aliog. Scores are about 1,500 difference, but that's actually pretty typical for Russia, so nothing to panic about just yet. Native posts both up. Not going for these native posts, of course, way too vulnerable. Though, if he did, he would be able to increase the amount of Tatars he made by 10, which would be ridiculous. And I'm a little bit worried, though. I mean, the amount of infantry is starting to reach that mass where, you know, that Russian infantry is going to get more and more cost effective. And these Tatars, you know, there's enough Strelot mass fire here to be able to one-shot them now. And Strelets are the counter. So I think you know, we're going to have to see something different from Aliug. Maybe an age up here. Maybe a change in units. Is he going to go for this? No, he's not going to fight it. He just really wants to protect this trading post. Get out that one mounted infantry. He's now at his limit. So he can't make any more units at this point. So at this point, you almost think he has to fight. Oh, still doing a really good job against these Strelot, but we can see the Russian infantry is becoming more and more cost effective, and we're fighting under 2 blockhouses here. Oh man, even with that upgrade card, still not the worst trade. But now that the Ruskets are in melee here, I think he is going to be turned back. Yeah, no, there's not enough. He's gonna have to mix in something else. He's gonna have to age up. He's gonna have to get access to some skirmishers or some really good shock cavalry here. Because until he has something to go in there and soak for all of this ranged cav, I don't think he's gonna win any more fights here. Especially not against 2 blockhouses. So let's see what he's doing. Getting some shock riders. I've never been super impressed with shock riders. I'm going to be honest with you. They just strike me as kind of a Walmart brand Lancer that's not good at its job. And it just kind of dies super quickly. But I could be wrong. And these guys are upgraded, right? They're at 297 HP. 297 for the mounted infantry, and 189 for the Tatars. They only start with 140, so those cards are starting to take effect, but now Russia is going up to age 3, as is France. No! Aliug is not going up to age 3. I just kind of made the assumption that he was. Instead, he is going to be sending another infantry, no, not infantry, native upgrade card. Another 10% HP, another 10% damage. So these guys are going to get even more ridiculous. Shock Riders up to 319. The Tatars are up to 203 for an age 2 Dragoon unit. Stable now coming down for Russia here. I don't know if Cossacks is the answer. Oh, he's going for horse archers. Okay, I like this play by Gilead. I think that's going to be really good. It's going to give him a little bit of tankability because these cavalry archers, for being a Dragoon unit, they actually are quite a bit high in the HP department. I mean, look at that, 318 HP. So we'll see. Maybe that's enough of body blocking potential to give these Strelets a little more time to deal with all this cavalry. And he will need them to deal with these shock riders. There are a few out on the field now. But this army is so mobile for Aliug. He's going to be able to choose his fights really, really easily. Going to poke in here. He sees the army. Is there going to be an engagement? Cavalry archers have now shown themselves, and Aliug immediately pulling back. And we're going to see veteran Strelot come in immediately. Aliug still not going up to H3, though he is now macroing for it. Just sent Ancien Regime, which is going to give him that royal embassy. Maybe going to mix in some royal musketeers. That could certainly do well against the cavalry archers. And is he just going to go for the town center? Gilead, my dear friend, are you just going to let your town center get taken? No, he's not. He's going to get back. And I mean, the siege on these units is pretty terrible, but I don't know. There's a lot of cavalry here. Does Russia lose his town center? No. I'm overreacting. He's going to save it, but hey, let his town center get down to half health there. And does Aliug just choose to disengage? Yeah, this is what's so good about this native army. It can really pull away at any time, but Minutemen and the Explorer getting the snare and some good damage coming in here from the veteran Streltsy. Cavalry archers doing their thing as well. Aliug now choosing to go H3, has a shipment saved up, and I would not be surprised for his first shipment to be native warriors. That is just the kind of guy he is. All right, going with the exiled prince, fast age up, and starting to make Pancherny? Is that an embassy unit? I have no idea what these guys are. I'm excited to see them. Hopefully they are melee cav, because that's what he needs. He needs some tankability. He needs to deal with the Strelot. And we'll see what his first card is. I would be shocked if it's not native warriors. It's going to make his stuff so much cheaper. What is it? Come on, H3 just arrived. Slam down the shipment. Oh no, it's cavalry combat. Well, I mean, that makes sense, because the cavalry combat actually, in case you didn't know this, cavalry combat does apply to native units. So I believe your native units, they'll get that 15% upgrade, even though they are not standard French units. So really, really nice tidbit there. But in come the shock riders, and the cavalry archers nowhere to be found, so they will get some decent damage, but look how quickly they go down. Man, just not great. And I gotta find one of these Pancherny. I have not found them yet. 2 falconets coming in, but there's no infantry for them to target, and I think they're just gonna get slapped by these cavalry. Yeah, is he gonna lose his 2 falconets here? The Tatars and the mounted infantry, enough firepower here, and what a nice catch from Aliug. No, both falconets are still alive. Okay, I'm wrong. Gilead's actually going to be the one to win this. I thought both falconets were down. Now they are, but the native army has been basically decimated. And man, that's the thing about Russia. It's really hard to gauge how those fights go, because you see Russia losing so many units and you think to yourself, oh, well, they're done. But then they just somehow win because they just have more stuff. More Strelet, more cavalry archers coming on the field, but Aliug did deal with the 2 falconets. 19 Strelets now coming out. I would be expecting probably Strelet combat to come next. Maybe he sends refrigeration eventually. He does have 38 Vils, and a lot of them are on food. Man, that's a lot of Strelets to all of a sudden appear. Meanwhile, what is Aliug sending? Sending 8 skirm? He definitely needs that. Mixed in with these native units. I can't believe Aliug's actually making normal stuff. It's not something I don't think I've ever seen him do. So cavalry combat, 8 skirm. Macroing pretty evenly here. Doesn't look like anything crazy is happening. Gilead, also, yeah, macroing typical Russia style. Shock riders coming in, but there's enough Strelet there to deal. And the cavalry archers also going to do well. And remember, these Strelets have, what is it, 2 upgrade cards at this point? They for sure have 1, and they have the veterancy upgrade, possibly going to get another one soon. But the massed skirmisher fire is doing okay. The Tatars still doing enough. The shock riders are tanking at least a little bit. And he needs to be targeting these cavalry archers. All of the Strelet going to go down, but still a decent trade for Russia here. Cavalry archers, enough skirmishers to finally be a threat to these guys. Skirmishers do have a huge bonus against those guys. What is it, times 2 versus light cav? Strelet combat now coming in. That is going to be a further, what is it, 20%? Oh my gosh. 20% on top of the 15, or was that 10? Yeah, so that's a 30% upgrade in total with veterancy. So, yeah, this is very, very typical Russia, right? Just get to a point where if your rush fails, just buff Strelets, make a couple of cavalry archers to protect them from any sort of hand cav, and you're basically good to go. But the amount of skirmishers here for Aliug is starting to get pretty scary. And skirmishers are superior to Strelets. They have much further range. Strelets kind of counter that with their speed, but I mean, yeah, they have about a half a point more speed than skirmishers. But skirmishers have 20 range versus the 14 of the Strelet. Continuing to make Strelets for Gilly. Ailey now sending pioneers, which is going to basically buff all of his villagers. Why would he be sending that? Why would he be sending that over native combat or 2 falconets? Is he gearing up for something? Or does he just want buff CDBs? I don't know if I understand that card. Maybe I'm missing something there. But another town center going down. Going to be buffing up his economy even more. 44 Vils versus 44 for Gilly, but we have to remember the superiority of the CDB. And now both guys going on to 2 town centers here. Gilly's already up and in kind of a barren spot. He does have this coin mine, could herd this hunt in, but look at how close these 2 town centers are. They're within a screen of each other. So I think a lot of fighting is going to start taking place here. No artillery really from either player, but now the Oprichniks come out, and there's a 3rd town center for Aliug. Oh my goodness. Did he send 1,000 wood? No. Did he gather all of that? Jeez. That's a lot of wood. But now he is definitely going to be having the superior economy. And yeah, Russia's going to have to make something happen here. He's getting up a really, really decent mass, a lot of veteran cavalry archers. Not a ton of veteran Strelet, but he is starting to produce falconets now, going to try to respond to all of these skirmishers from Alia. And Ailey kind of shutting off the native unit tap for a while. He does have some shock riders in queue, but putting a lot of resources into getting double-ville production and then hopefully triple-ville production from those town centers. And he doesn't have a great counter to these falconets. These Tatars, if they're able to just get a really nice snipe, but there's enough Strelets here that they're really not going to be able to do that without paying for it. And one does go down, so a bit of a sloppy play there by Gilly, losing that falconet basically for free. Though he is now going to get his army fully engaged, and he has so much more stuff here than Aliug does, but Aliug's stuff is quite better. Shock Riders now coming in, but they're coming right in where the veteran cavalry archers are, and those guys are going to be basically useless. Double skirm production now from Ailey, and the Strelet are starting to go down. Minutemen coming out as well. There is still one falconet, and Gilly trying to protect it. It's still doing a lot of decent damage on the skirms. Skirms now being spread out. Nice micro there by Ailey. Good micro by Gilly, keeping that falconet safe, not letting the Tatars get to it, but now they're going the long way around. Are they going to be able to reach that falconet, or are they just pulling off completely? They might just be retreating completely. No, they're going to deal with these Oprichniks, which are raiding the wood line on the north side of the map. And now the skirmishers trying to get some kiting done against the Strelet and stay out of the range of the falconet. And in come the Tartars, and there's not a lot to protect the falconet here. They might be in range. They're going to take it down. And now more Strelet, more cavalry archers coming in. And this sustained fight is actually probably going pretty well for Aliug, all things considered. A lot of Russian units going down here. And yes, he's killed a few skirmishers, but he hasn't done any lasting damage to the infrastructure, and he hasn't really hurt the Ville numbers, even with those Oprichniks running around. So really good response here from France, but look at that. 2 more falconets immediately being slammed down. And now how does he deal with this with such a small number of cav? And oh boy, I need a drink. We are at the 22-minute mark, and things are still looking very, very even. About a 3,000 score gap, but taking in the Russia bias here, it's probably a lot more even than the scores would tell. 2 TCs for Russia, 3 TCs for France, but we do have to remember that Russia can make vills in batches of 3, so kind of offsets that. Making falconets of his own here is France, and sending 2 as well. And if they pop out here and get unpacked, they might be able to get a snipe, but these 2 Russian cannon are already going to be unpacked. So it's going to be coming down to who has the better micro here, who sees the falconets first. And let's see what happens. Gonna lose them for sure if he pops them out here to all these veteran cavalry archers. Maybe gonna pop them out at this further town center and pair them with the 3 that he's made. No, does he pop them out? He does! But he's going to wheel him away, or is he going to get a free shot off? Falconet going to go down. Gilly doesn't see it yet. Oh, he is going to get one of the falconets, but those guys are going to immediately go down. And oh, look at that volley. The Strelets being obliterated, and there might be enough skirms to protect the cannon here. But these veteran cavalry archers, 358 HP. Yeah, they're going right for those falconets. They're going to slam them down here. And man, these veteran cavalry archers, they are something. Which is crazy because in Legacy, these guys used to be the joke of the game. They used to be so horrible. So it's good to see these guys actually getting somewhat of a use in the game now. CDB's even getting involved, and they do have the Pioneers upgrade, so these guys have 396 HP. And I mean, their attack isn't great. They still only have 11 ranged attack, but that's a lot of tank ability. Both civs still fighting for this hunt and this coin mine. Looks like more Tartars and more falconets from Aliug and double Strelet production for Giliug. So possibly going to be going in France's favor here. I mean, Strelet versus Falk, we all know who wins that battle. And neither looking to macro for an Age 4 transition. I wonder if both players just don't think they could risk it. Royal Embassy going down here for Aliug. Is he finally going to go back to making his weird units? I certainly hope so. Team Senegalese Riflemen. So going to be buffing his skirms here. He's got a decent number of skirms. Not a ton, though. He's kind of halted skirm production. Possibly to save coin to make all these cannons. And 5 falconets are going to be appearing. There they are in the corner of the map. And if you can keep them safe from the remaining veteran cav archers, and this is really bold from Gilliog here. He's pushing under a French TC, and oh man, he's even got CDBs mixed in, which are going to provide a nice amount of fire. And oh my god, those falconets. They are going to rip through the Strela, and there's just not enough veteran cavalry archers left on the field to really threaten this many cannon and this many light infantry and the CDB. So a nice position here for France, getting out some Royal Musketeers as well, going to further bolster the protection of the cannons. And oh, are we going to get a Vil raid? 1 going down, possibly 2. Yeah, another one going down. One thing to remember about native units is they're not the best at raiding Vils. I don't think they have any multipliers. They might even have negative multipliers, actually. These guys have negative multipliers. They have a 0.34 bonus damage against Vils, so yeah, not great. And is Gilead gonna lose this town center? More Royal Musketeers from France. Culverin's finally coming out from Russia, but too little, too late. He's gonna lose this TC for sure. Now down to 1 versus the 3 that France still has on the field. And both players kind of starting to exhaust their decks here. Now sending economic upgrades. Natural resources on the map are getting sparse. I don't think there are any hunts remaining besides this 1 buffalo herd that he has under his base. Yeah, look at this. Gilead now on 1, 2, 3 mills. And so I think that's probably why the amount of reinforcements has been so small for Russia the past couple of minutes, just because he's had to invest. I mean, that's 1,200 wood just in food production. 5 falconets, but these 2 culverins going to keep them at bay. Gonna just poke at these royal embassies. So, a bit of a break here. Both players seems like they might be gearing up, and I wonder if this is where either player chooses that they can maybe squeeze in an age up into the industrial age. Of course, France has some powerful shipments. They have heavy cannons, factories, and the Blood Brothers, which basically will upgrade all of his native warriors to champion, make them even more insane. And what does Gilead have for age 4? Just the 2 factories and the Strelic cards. So neither of these players has a great industrial deck. Of course, that doesn't take into account any revolts that we might see. Map control is pretty even for both players, but the lack of extra TCs for Russia is really going to start hurting here. He's got 74 Vils and only 61 CDB here for Aliog. But with the 1.25 gathering of CDB, that actually might be fairly even. I don't know really how that plays out. The veteran cavalry archers have been reinforced now, and so he's going to have to do a really nice job of body blocking for these falconets, but the Coles are going to make it even more complicated. And the skirmisher numbers have not increased, and this amount of Strelets could deal with the Royal Musketeers pretty effectively, but there's so much infrastructure here blocking his way, an outpost, a town center, and this Royal Embassy, which could pop out more Royal Musketeers at any time. Losing 1 Falc there, but a lot of Strelet going down to the volleys as well. And things are just saying so even. 2 Colves now coming out for France. That's exactly what he needs, along with more skirmishers. He needs a way to deal with these veteran cav archers quickly. Culverin's getting set up. Oh, does Gilead see him yet? No, he does not see him. Aliog's going to have the advantage here at the first volley. Could take out one of the Culverins. Probably going to be unpacking here. Ooh. Just going to see that shot come in from the dark, from the blackness of the map. Yeah, there it is. 1 Culverin going down. I love that little pause there. Seemed like everybody was just waiting with their breath held. Skirmishers and Royal Musketeers going to keep the cav archers at bay. Love what he's doing here. I love this micro from Ailey, getting those falconets just wedged in between the embassies and the coin mine. It's going to make it so hard for this cav to get in here and actually deal with them without taking a ton of damage. Because once these Royal Musketeers get into melee, they will actually start melting these cav archers, despite all the HP. And let's see. More Culverins, more villagers. Ooh, getting frontier outpost, and there it is. Ailey going up with the Tycoon. And let's see, Gilly still not macroing for an H4. I don't know if he thinks he can afford it. Veteran Cav Archers trying to raid here. And A-League's just trying to outpost all of the remaining resources, now also making the transition to mills. And probably gathered all the wood for that as well. Yeah, doesn't even have 1,000 wood in his deck. So he's been gathering a lot of wood, and he still has a lot of wood. Holy cow, he just had 1,000 wood, just slammed down 600 of it. Probably on estates and mills. But this outpost is going to go down right after it gets the frontier upgrade. And that upgrade does take a while to come in. It's one of the slower upgrades in the game. Artillery Foundry going down, which is nice. You really want to target those, especially when you move into making falconets. You want to limit your opponent's capability of making Colves to counter it. And look at that. Blood Brother is going to be the first card coming in here for Aliug, and I'm a little bit suspicious. Look at this macro, ladies and gentlemen. This looks like Revolt macro. Yeah, he needs about 300 food. He's got the coin. He's got the wood. I think we're going to see a Revolt, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe as soon as this card comes in. Yeah, he's getting Culver and Royale, getting field guns, so maybe not right away, but that looks suspiciously like Revolt. So we'll have to see. Preachnik's coming out from Gilly. Going to be able to maybe get some raids down, but I mean, Aliug's done a good job of making sure that all of his villagers have building protection. And look at these French villagers getting hammered on by this outpost. I guess they didn't deal with it, but these Oprichniks probably have enough siege between the four of them to actually deal with that weakened outpost. And field guns now probably getting research from frontline, or is he just going with the culverins? No, he is getting field guns as well. Still has that macro geared up for Revolt. Has so much coin in his base. Look at that. Triple queuing CDB, 75 CDB for France, 88 regular villagers for Gilly. Excuse me. Whew. What a game to come back to when you regain your voice. There's just so much on this map. I got a Preachniks running all over the place. I got mills over in the corner. I got 3 TCs. I got a bunch of Strelets, a bunch of native embassies, a bunch of cannons. Oh, it's a tough life. Anyway, when is this Revolt coming? Come on. I've waited long enough. There's no way he's holding all these resources for anything besides a Revolt. Maybe he's just kind of deciding which one he's going to do. I mean, Canada makes the most sense. He's invested so much into natives. Why would you not go Canada? Maybe he wants to send his factories first. I mean, that would make sense. Gilead also going up to H4 now with the War Minister. I don't actually know what the War Minister does, so I'll have to look and see. It's not the Falconets. Is it the Strelets? Maybe it's the Strelets. Double producing Cav Archer. Has an estate now. So fully transitioning into the late game economy. I think he's already gotten a couple of the upgrades. I've seen a few of them come through. He does have refrigeration active, so that's going to be a really nice boost. And what came out? I don't know what came out here. Did it come out of this TC? Oh no, did I miss it? Somebody tell me what I missed. What is the War Minister upgrade? Shipping the factory immediately, getting his guard upgrades for his Cav Archers and his Strelets. And this is where Strelets start to get really scary because they're just so cost effective and they're not so weak anymore. So we'll have to see. I really want to see kind of what, how the unit stats change here for the guard upgrade. Oh my God, these guard cavalry archers look amazing. Look at the design on these guys. Oh, the helmet and the change to all red. I have no idea how to pronounce it. The guard Strelets look good too. Oh, they've gone up to 144 HP, 16 ranged attack, 30% ranged resist too. Meanwhile, what's Alia got? Oh, look at that. Look at the artillery train he's got going here. Ali's army really has not changed very much. He has been investing in a lot of economy here. Now making more Tartars. He does now have the guard upgrade because of Blood Brothers. Has not shipped either of his factories. And whoa, the base is just getting annihilated here. He really can't afford to lose these mills. These are a huge investment. What is he doing? He's on 4,600 wood right now. He's on 4,600 wood, 2,500 food, and 1,000 gold. What are you waiting for, sir? What upgrade are you saving for that costs that much? Are you trying to go Imperial? This man is not trying to go Imperial. Not with this army. Not with this many Russian units beating down your door. Oh, man. No, he's revolting. There it is. It is the Canada Revolt. Okay. There's the Aliug we all know and love. And I mean, the units in this deck can get fairly ridiculous. Look at that. He's got 22 Lenape allies. He can ship 3 native embassy travois. He can now make Cree trackers, Cherokee riflemen, Huron mantlets, and Nootka clubmen, which are actually really, really good units. And then he has, some regular revolutionary cards here. He actually has access to a lot of food he could send. So he could send a lot of hunts, and he doesn't just have to rely on mills. So he might actually be able to go back to natural resources, though I don't know if he'll bother sending those. He'll probably just stick with the military shipments. Can send 10, what is this? A number of powerful dragoons for 1,000 food. Nah, probably not that great. Hanover allies, no. And he has another native upgrade. Oh my gosh. So anyway, he's going to get those native embassy wagons, immediately slamming them down. He does get the mantlets, he does get the Nootka clubmen. But I mean, the Russian army still looking scary here. So let's see. The artillery is still alive for France. He's done a nice job avoiding any combat with those guys. Immediately slamming down champion riflemen and the CDBs from the Cree trading post. I like that. Still investing in economy, getting amalgamation. Which does amalgamation, that has to affect your estates, right? That'd be the only reason he's getting it at this point. Yeah, it does. I'm almost certain it does. But he's got an interesting composition here. And it's just so many units. I don't even know how to keep track. There's like 8 units here. Yeah, I just look at it for yourself and try to make sense of it. This is an army I can keep track of. Strelets and Cav archers. Meanwhile, you've got about 4 or 5 native units here. You got some skirms, you got some cannons, you got a mantlet. This fight is about to get ugly. Cavalry getting involved. These are now guard shock riders, so actually pretty decent. They're going to provide some tankability, and the Nootka clubmen getting in. These guys have so much siege attack and not bad hand damage either. Royal Musketeers are now putting in some work as well. Culverin's trying to get engaged, but enough shock riders are just going to jump on them, and these field guns lambasting the Strelets and even doing a decent job against the cavalry archers. Guard Tartars are now kind of dueling these cavalry archers, and it looks like there's enough cavalry archers, but they're going to retreat. And the Strelets are going to get wiped, and there is still a lot of French artillery on the field here. Mortar's going to go down, and these guys are not super cheap. Don't want to lose those for nothing. And these Nootka clubmen, they will absolutely tear down any building they come across. These guys have 51 siege attack and 410 HP. And now these Cree trackers are going to do really well against these cavalry archers, and enough field guns are still alive to be threatening, and these mantlets soaking up so much damage. And how do you counter all this? I can't even see all of these units, let alone think about what I need to do to beat them. And more Strelets coming out, because why not? That's your best unit. But against these champion trackers, this tracker has 533 HP. He is a light infantry, and he has over 500 HP. That is absolutely insane. And he's sending Team Native Weapon Trade, which is going to boost how many natives he can make by 20%. So you're going to see more of this, more of this absolute insanity. Nootka clubmen getting in now, and these mantlets, they also have 500 HP. And now there's just not enough Strelets to do enough meaningful damage. There is so much tankability in this army. And I mean, meanwhile, the champion riflemen, they're gonna outduel Strelets any day of the week. Moving in here with his one remaining field gun. And if you're Gilead, what do you even target in this army? Like, what do you try to micro? Do you try to micro the Nootkas smashing your face in, or do you try to micro the field gun just pounding away? More mantlets coming in. He actually... Oh, man. Is this GG? I don't think Gilead beats this. I mean, yeah, Aliug's now going double champion tracker. The Strelets are just not really doing any meaningful work. He's slamming down emergency blockhouses. And there's units in his base. I didn't even notice this. There are shock riders raiding his mills. He's got garden musketeers destroying his houses, all while his forward position is being smashed in. I think this is going to be a win for Aliug. I think we're going to see the native Canada revolt pull off a W. Yeah, look at all these Idlevilles. I think Gileug's about to hit that GG. Maybe he's too busy microing over here, but even with the micro and even with the artillery gone, these Nuka Clubmen, they're basically as effective against buildings as artillery. Like, look at how quickly this blockhouse goes down. Oh, we don't get to see it. Gilly resigns. What a game. Oh, man, a 40-minute, 22-second, absolute chaotic mess of a game. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let's dive right in. Follow me to the post game. All right, guys, here we are in the post game, and when we look at the resources, this was a tight match pretty much until the final 2 minutes. I mean, about 1,000 resource difference in a 40-minute game is meaningless, and when we look at the military, Gileug having over a 200-unit advantage. Now, granted, a lot of those were Strelets, so take that with a huge pinch of salt, but I honestly think it came down to just the variety and the fact that Aliug was kind of able to just survive until those native warriors got too insane to kill. I almost wonder, there was a moment there where Aliug transitioned into H4 and so did Gilly, and Aliug still had this really small kind of H3 army, and Gileug had this huge mass of Strelet and Cav archers, and I wonder if he had been a bit more aggressive with that army before the revolt had come in and before all of those insane units and the embassies had gotten down, I wonder if Gileug would have been able to take over there, because he did have the military advantage there for quite some time. I mean, look at this. He has 92 versus 41, but then the native units come out and the Russian army just gets cooked all the way down to 7 units while Aliug still has 76. But I love watching these kinds of builds. The Canada Revolt is probably the strangest, weirdest, most hard to follow revolt in the entire game, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll be back with another game in a couple of days, but until then, have a great day, have a great life. See you later.